me?
Hi. How you
How are
doing?
you? I'm good. Long time
I'm
no
doing
see.
great. I know.
I know. We had a little time to freshen up in between all of that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Where am I calling for you from? Are you at home? Are you in your house right now?
I'm I'm at home. I found a room in my house where nobody is and shut the doors, and
Nice,
I'm
nice,
actually sitting in my den. Yeah.
nice. Is your whole family just working from home right now, even the kids?
Yep, kids are home. My husband's working from home, so we all have our little respective spaces we try to get to focus.
Yeah, that's my family back. I'm originally from Minnesota, so they're all like that too. My brother has taken over the kitchen. My mom's in the living room. My dad's upstairs and in our office upstairs. So they're all like segregated from each other. I don't think they talk during the day anymore.
Right.
You do what you
It's
gotta
very much
do.
like that here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's so fun though. Well, I'm so glad that you're able to join us today, and thank you everyone for being part of this live stream. I'm just going to do a little brief introductions, and then we'll get going on our questions. Awesome. So, hi everyone. My name is Claire Butwinick, and I am the assistant editor at Gray Magazine. Um, with our current situation, keeping all of us at home, Gray has decided to do these online Instagram live interviews with the international design community as part of our ongoing design show and video symposium, the Virtual Design Expo. And so we're hoping that these talks can build community and relationships and hopefully a momentary escape during this really difficult time. And so with that being said, I'm so excited to introduce today's speaker, Amy Pastre, who is the co-founder and creative director of the South Carolina design and branding firm, SDCO Partners. And thank you for being here.
Hi, everybody.
I know, and I feel like half the viewers are coming from your side and half of them are coming from my side. So this may be repeated information for some of you, but since 2009, Amy, along with her co-founder Courtney Rosen, have taken a multidisciplinary approach to storytelling with playful design campaigns for Target, West Elm, Mellow CBD, and most notably Reese Witherspoon's Southern lifestyle brand Draper James, which just sounds super fun to work with her.
It was.
Yeah. And so today we're going to be talking about how to maintain client relationships while in quarantine and how you're reconfiguring your work-life balance in these really unexpected times and how your company is constantly reinventing and reimagining storytelling, which is basically the crux of what you do. So I'm excited to learn more about that. And then for those of you who are watching, if you want to participate, you can ask a question down below. It looks like we already have one. And you can also use the hashtag #DesignMustGoOn if you want to keep continuing in our conversation. So the first question, I always ask all of my interviews this because I'm genuinely curious, but what are you doing to stay creative while in quarantine?
That's a great question. I feel like I've really personally trying to focus on things that I'm always wanting to do, but saying to myself that I never have time to do.
Yeah.
So, for example, yesterday I made bread for the first time.
I feel like everybody's doing that.
I love to cook, and so it's sort of crazy. I've never done it, but that's something that requires time, and I'm always saying to myself I don't have time to do that. So I'm really trying to focus in on just making the most of having a little extra time at home and tackling some of those challenges that you can always talk yourself out of. So yeah.
Nice. What kind of bread are you making?
I made a focaccia bread yesterday.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That sounds so yummy.
Yeah, and I actually, I started cross stitching again. I like to do things with my hands, but again, never make time for it anymore. So
Yeah.
trying to use this opportunity to do that.
That's so interesting, especially because a lot of your work, I'm assuming, is really digital and virtual. It's interesting that like that's your primary form of creativity.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always switched back to doing things with my hands and just as a nice contrast to being in front of the computer all day. So that's an outlet for me. Yeah, and Courtney's the same. She loves to cook too. So trying a lot of new recipes and just always trying new things in general is I feel like fuels my creativity, things that I've never done before.
Yeah.
Giving myself a challenge.
Yeah, that's so funny because I feel like that's what I kept reading when I kept hearing about, you know, the clients that you choose to work with. You have such a diverse repertoire of people that you work with. And you said in an interview that, you know, it was really fueled by trying to always try to do something new and creative. So that's really interesting that it
Yes,
seeps into your personal life as well. One thing
definitely.
that, yeah, one other thing that I found really interesting was that the relationships that you have with your clients are super fundamental to your company's success. How are you navigating those relationships while you're in quarantine?
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of our clients, we are already not in the same location as they are. So for some client relationships, it really hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't necessarily have the luxury of being in the same space all of the time. But so we're still connecting with them as we would have before on video calls, conference calls, that sort of thing. I think probably what's changed though is just making sure that to have an acknowledgement and a level of understanding that this is affecting everybody in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And just in general, you know, stopping and making sure we're connecting more and more often to make sure we understand how this might be affecting their business, how we can possibly help,
Mm-hmm.
or how this might affect their timeline or that sort of thing. So
Right.
in a lot of ways it hasn't changed, but probably the biggest change is just we're touching base more.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be true across the board. I mean, I personally have heard from people that I haven't heard from in a long time. So it seems while we're not physically connected that there's something about this situation that's making everybody touch base more often across the board.
Definitely. And yeah, we've been experiencing that too. Half of our staff also works remotely. So we were kind of prepared for this, but I haven't talked on the phone probably ever as much as I do with my coworkers
Right.
now. So it is kind
Right.
of nice in a weird way. I feel like I'm
Right.
getting to know them even better through this. So that's been really
Mm-hmm.
nice. Definitely. And kind of stemming from that, in a previous interview, you mentioned that a work-life balance is achievable but really challenging, and I definitely can understand that. And that was under normal circumstances. So now that your home and your workspace has become your living space, how are you navigating that balance, especially as a parent?
Yeah. Well, it's challenging, and I mean, I never thought that I would have this challenge. But
Yeah.
one positive that I really do see from it, and I think has been a benefit for my kids in particular. They're home, they're doing school from home, and previously, you know, mom and dad just left for work and they went to school, and there was probably a real baseline understanding of what all of us did at work every day. And now that we're together all the time, I think my kids understand more than they ever did what it is that I do,
Yeah.
and what that looks like, and and what that sounds like, hearing me in meetings and on the phone. And so again, trying to embrace that opportunity to stop and show them what I'm doing. I think that they probably, when this all goes back to normal, will be more understanding of why I'm away and what I'm doing, and being able to
Yeah.
connect those dots. And I would say the same, you know, for my husband. He's a professor and is teaching online to his students, and I never would have had the opportunity to hear him teach.
Yeah.
So trying to stop and listen and sort of take all that in. And I think it's an opportunity for us all to have a different kind of respect and acknowledgement, you know, for what everybody goes off to work to do. It's like being a fly on the
Hmm.
wall in a little way. So
Definitely. That's a really great perspective. That's really nice to hear. Yeah, I think I live with my boyfriend. I've never really known what he does day to day, and now we're sharing
right,
a kitchen table, doing work right across from each other, which has never happened before. So it's been a really interesting experience. We've definitely finally gotten into the rhythm of like how we're both working in a
right.
really intimate quarters, but Yeah, that's been definitely a positive too. So I totally get that.
Sure. And, you know, I mean, it's not without bumps and
Yeah.
frustrations, but I also think, you know, it's temporary, and, you know, it gives me the opportunity to really see what my kids are working on at school in a different kind of way, and overhear them talking to their friends. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah. Do you have any advice for any working parents right now?
gosh, you know, I do and I don't really, because I feel like this is a time where everybody's got to do what works for them. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I just feel like I I hear some people have schedules and they really stick to those with kids. That we haven't done that as much. I've been a little looser in terms of just saying, you know, let's everybody get their work done,
Mm-hmm.
and not trying to schedule it, and letting everybody kind of have their own say and when they get their work done. But
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's different. So I
Yeah.
just think, you know, depending on your family dynamics and the personality of your kids, I would just sort of listen to what feels right. And if a day goes extra well, kind of reflect back on why, and have that be what works.
Yeah, definitely. I know one thing that I've heard recently was just getting through a day is an accomplishment within itself. So I think we
Yeah,
need to keep that perspective as well. Um,
right.
One other thing that I found really interesting, kind of going back to your work, is that you balance really beautifully the problem solving element of design with the storytelling element. And, you know, for those who are not really familiar, your work doesn't just expand into the print and online world, but also you rebranded a truck, a donut truck, and you did these beautiful playing cards. So I guess I'm wondering, how are you continuing to push the boundaries of storytelling with design?
Well, probably the largest way is, again, kind of living by that thought process of let's try something new, let's try something we haven't done before. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's the typical vehicles that you see graphic design implemented in, but I think what gets us really excited is the things that you haven't seen done before, and how those can be vehicles for communication.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so that's, I mean, that's where creativity comes into play, and trying to think kind of beyond what we did before and what works for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what makes it new and exciting to
Yeah.
us.
Can you give an example of something that you're working on that you're really excited about?
Sure. We've got lots of great projects, and I feel so fortunate that we're a company that can work from home.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of our clients have been able to continue moving forward, which is wonderful. We're just kicking off, starting a new project with a company that's developing a line of children's watches, which is really exciting. I've always thought that watches are such a great vehicle to, they're so small but can be so creative. So we're really excited about that. We're working with an eco-friendly diaper brand.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're really excited about that. We have several hotel projects in the works, so just kind of a wide range of things, and lots of good stuff in the horizon.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And because you have such a diverse clientele, are all of your projects, do you strategize all of your projects differently, or do you kind of have the same formula that you do a little bit of a plug and play?
Um, I wouldn't say not plug and play. I would say what
Yeah.
remains really consistent about our studio is we're really true to our process, and but
Mm-hmm.
the outcomes are always really different. We like to ask lots of questions. We like to really get to know our clients and know the product that they're producing, or the idea that they have. I mean, it really starts there. I think when we're intimately involved in the projects we do and form those personal relationships with our clients, that's when we're able to come up with something unique and authentic to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say process is really consistent, but that produces a wide range of solutions, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it definitely comes out in your work. I totally understand that. My next thing is, I'm wondering, how is this pandemic going to broadly affect the design community and how you do your work?
Gosh, I wish I knew the answer to that. I mean, it seems to be the question that everybody wants to know is what does this all mean, and what will it look like? You know, I don't know. I think it'll change. I don't know. You know, it could. So, you know, with you hear some people say, oh, things are going to go right back to the way they were, and then other people say that it's going to change the way that we work. And I think there's a little bit of truth on both sides. I think it's been a great experiment in knowing that we can work remotely successfully. I don't think we really would have worked remotely as a team for 5 weeks without this. So I think that'll be valuable to know that, you know, maybe there'll be more flexibility for companies, and give them the confidence that they can do that if that's what they want to do. I would say a lot of our clients who seem to be kind of full speed ahead are digitally driven brands, which makes sense. And so we'll probably see more ideas emerge in that space. So yeah, and then, you know, I feel like the need for connection is a problem that designers are here to solve. So I think that I'll be curious what kind of platforms arise to out of this.
Yeah, and it looks like we have a question.
Realization.
I know. It looks like we have a question below. How much is this going to change the process and technology you work with?
So for our studio, it didn't really change much. For those of you who aren't familiar with Charleston, South Carolina, for the past 4 or 5 years, we've had hurricanes come through here, and so which means an evacuation for our city. And so we had already sort of invested in becoming fully capable of operating from anywhere. So all of the systems that we have in place for collaborating, even though typically we're all together, we were able to make the call immediately and just say, hey guys, we're all working from home starting today. And we didn't miss a beat. So, you know, for other companies, they may have had to kind of make a shift quicker than anticipated, but we were already set up to work remote.
Great. That's awesome to hear. And then my last question before we move on to our rapid speed round questions. Are there any organizations or nonprofits or individuals that you're supporting in the pandemic right now?
Yes, actually, we have partnered with a client of ours, Ethics Supply Co., and have designed a candle where the proceeds are 100% of the proceeds are going to Give Directly, which is an organization that provides cash payments to those in need. So we are in the final stages of that, and you'll take a look for it on both Ethics Supply Co.'s website, and then we'll be talking about it on our social media and how you can support.
That's awesome. So yeah, viewers, if you want to follow their Instagram account, I guess it'll be up there if you want to check it out. And so now that we're kind of running out of time, awesome. So now that we're running out of time, let's do our quick lightning round questions. We ask these to every single interview that we have, and they're really fun and they're really quick. So, all right, what is one thing that you do to get out of creative mind block?
I turn to books and just start looking.
Nice. What did you want to be at age 5?
A hairdresser.
Who is someone who has shaped your life professionally?
Anybody that I've worked for.
What are 3 objects that are on your desk at all times?
My sketchbook, coffee, It's usually cold and old.
Yeah.
And lots of pens, pencils, markers.
Nice. And then last one, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
You're only as good as the last project you design.
Nice. I think that's a really great thing to end things on. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, and thank you for joining us, Amy. This was really great.
Thanks. Thanks for reaching out.
Of course. And if you would like to see our live stream again, the full live stream will be on our Instagram story, and it will permanently live on our IGTV and on our website under the gray Virtual Design Expo tab. And also, if you want to read more about Amy and her firm, Gray also wrote an article recently about the firm, and you can check that out on graymag.com. So our next conversation is going to be on Wednesday with our deputy editor, Rachel Gallagher, who will be talking to interior designer, Michelle Dirksey. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Amy. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.